Shout out to Anime Gematria, who left me a comment on the Dick Cheney death video that I did, and how that was all connected to the Brotherhood of Death 322 and Skull and Bones, and George H.W. Bush and his son George W. Bush. But Anime Gematria lets me know, just a heads up, to look out for UFC 322 next week in NYC. Might be something to decode there. Well, that's interesting because I can just bring that up right now and we get a decode out of it. So that's amazing. Shout out to you, because in the Dick Cheney video here with the death that's trending, you see how that was unbelievably connected to Skull and Bones, as we hit on all four base ciphers with Skull and Bones with that 41, and we hit with the 76, Richard Cheney 76, Skull and Bones 76 right here. And remember, Dick Cheney was vice president during 9/11 under George W. Bush. Airplanes, right? And that's amazing. Skull and Bones members George W. Bush and his father H.W. Bush, and this guy connected to both the Bushes. You see the 149 vice president, Skull and Bones. 149 vice president has the 76 as well, like Skull and Bones. We just had the Kentucky plane crash as well, which connects big time to 9/11. There's even some extra stuff that solidifies that even more that I saw while scrolling down Facebook. You see Vice President 202, like Skull and Bones right there. Remember with UFC, remember they had John Bones Jones as well. Isn't that amazing? And you see right here the main card, Della Maddalena versus Islam Makachev, or however you say it, right? There's probably something with Islam right there. But remember, John Bones Jones, remember his brother just died recently as well, Arthur Jones. And shout out to Anime Gematria, because I remember Anime Gematria commented on that video I did there as well. So that interesting stuff. You see John Bones Jones right here. And look at the logo. I've even brought him up before, obviously, when showing Skull and Bones connections. Skull and Bones, the society at Yale University. They say secret society. These are things they just tell us. Obviously, I'm not in the room at some kind of secret society meeting or any kind of gathering or any kind of rituals. But this stuff is all going to connect with the language, right? So You know, you get a character like John Bones Jones. You see the logo there. Dick Cheney, um, with the 9/11 connection and serving under George Bush Jr., who was president during 9/11. Check this out, because I'll have to bring this up when I do the video for the Kentucky plane crash. Um, I don't have the stuff all memorized, but involving UPS or whatever. But that's trending now. And you can see the number of people killed in the September 11 attacks was 2,977 victims across the 3 attack sites, not including the 19 hijackers. The number 2976 is a figure used in some historical sources. You see that? And look, the Kentucky plane crash, UPS Airlines flight 2976. Come on, right? Come on, right? So you get this 9/11 energy, you get Skull and Bones energy with the Bush connection. Okay? Now you get UFC 322, you get all the Skull and Bones connections with Dick Cheney's death, right? You see UFC 322, you get John Bones Jones, who's obviously retired, but still worthy of bringing up right there. You know, his brother just dying recently. Football player, right? Passed away at age 39, heart-related issues. Now, look at this. I noticed this guy is fighting on the card, UFC 322. Sean Brady. That's interesting. Sean Brady, like Tom Brady. Remember Tom Brady and the Patriots became all great after 9/11. Remember, you had the Patriot Act, where we lost more of our, privacy, right? And then they blame it on the terrorists with the script, you know. But look, Tom Brady and the Patriots. Remember, Drew Bledsoe got hit by the Jets, the football team. He got hit by the Jets, and Drew Bledsoe got taken out. Sound familiar? Like 2 buildings getting taken out. And then Tom Brady steps in, and I mentioned him and the Patriots become all great, right? So you get Tom Brady, you get Sean Brady, so you get this plain energy, you get this society, Skull and Bones. Look at what they mentioned right here. Wow, isn't that amazing? Look at this fight they bring up. Saturday, March 22nd. With this Sean Brady, one of his fights. Is that like what is that? Like his last fight? Why is that popping up? Look at this. UFC Fight Night 254. Sean Brady. It looks like won by submission. Oh my God, I just caught something. Look at this though. So the upcoming 322, UFC 322 is November 15th. 322, right? For Skull and Bones. That's the Skull and Bones number. Remember, founded in 1832, like 322. Right? But look at this. Kind of on the fly here. They show this Saturday, March 2 fight with Sean Brady. 322. UFC 254. He picks up the victory over Leon Edwards. And you know what's amazing about that? Is 9/11 was the 254th day of the year. And the UFC 254 was on 3/22. Look at how amazing that is. Look at how amazing that is right there. 9/11 in 2001 was on the 254th day of the year. Look at how that hits right there. You know, and we can go on and on. The day leaving 111, New York equals 111, New York's the 11th state. Man, look at how amazing. I'm just kind of guessing that was his last fight. Was it 8 months ago? That's a long. He 18-1. Look, that must have been his last fight because it shows that he's 18-1 going into this. Wow. Sean Brady like Tom Brady. Isn't that amazing? Shout out again, anime. Anime Gematria too. Shout out to you. Uh, you know, I don't think you're making videos anymore. Look, wow, time flies. 2 years ago. But some nice, well put together Gematria videos right here. And look, I see you hit on that 94 right there.
In the Dragon Ball Super.
Look at that. Remember, World Trade Center equals 94. And whenever you see that number 94, that's also going to be connected to 9/11. Look at World Trade Center right here. Let's look at that real quick before we get out of here. You see the 94 right there. There's the 77. Wasn't there a flight 77 with 9/11? And that 185 connects to Trump as well. Look, on September 11, 2001, America Airlines Flight 77. Remember, hijacked and crashed into the Pentagon. Remember, United States equals 77 as well. But look at that 185 right there. Doesn't that connect to Trump? Donald, John Trump. Look, 185. Like World Trade Center. Look at, there's the 68. Remember in 1968, the 911 dialing code came about. Remember Bush W. George W. Bush graduated at Yale with that Skull and Bones connection. And there's a couple of, I think there's a couple other 68s there as well. But you know, this early AM, as I'm recording, that's what I can think of right there. Look at Donald John Trump's got the 220. Skull and Bones has the 202. You see, 202, 220. Skull and Bones has the 76. Donald J. Trump even has the 68. But look, 176. You see that right there? Donald John Trump 76. Yeah, so I mean, that's interesting. Are we going to get, we have the Kentucky UPS plane crash here. Are we going to get another type of 9/11 event? Maybe. I don't know. So yeah, that's amazing. What a great Sean Brady connection there. And look, this was also They say this happened Tuesday, this Kentucky crash, if I'm not mistaken. It was trending Wednesday, November 5th. Remember Donald Trump? We had the selection that was November 5th when he got selected the second time around for president. Okay, so a lot of this energy circulating. Look, Leon Edwards is also on this upcoming UFC 322 card November 15th. And I guess, according to what I saw, Sean Brady defeated him by submission at UFC 254 on 322. Not really noticing anything else with the other names here, but amazing and I will have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully I don't forget, but I wanted to make this quick video. So again, shout out to Anime Gematria pointing up UFC 322 coming up November 15th. And that's why we're seeing these skull and bones connections here with this Dick Cheney death. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled, and it already hits with that Kentucky plane crash. So I already have that one pretty much put together, but obviously, I'm gonna have to bring this stuff up in that video again. So yeah, if you want to check out that video that should be dropping later today. I got the Kentucky um, UPS plane crash. Remember, UPS was trending uh, back in April too. I think they had uh, what was it, layoffs? Yeah, they cut 20,000 jobs and closed some facilities as it reduced the amount of Amazon shipments it handles. So I'm gonna have to bring that up as well. So again, shout out Anime Gematria, appreciate you, everybody. If there's any other real people out there, I know Richard West, anybody else, keep your eyes peeled. UFC 322 with that Skull and Bones 322 connection right around the corner. Until next time.